The air in the courtroom hung heavy, like the kind of silence that presses down on you right before a storm breaks loose. A grizzled judge, perched high on his bench like a king on his throne, staring down at a scrawny teenager who looks like he just rolled out of bed after a late-night video game marathon. "Kid, you think you're smart enough to play games in my courtroom?" The judge sneers, his voice dripping with that condescending tone adults love to use when they think they've got the upper hand. But what if I told you that this kid wasn't just any teenager? What if he was hiding a secret that would flip the entire room upside down, leaving everyone, from the smug prosecutor to the whispering spectators, gasping in shock? Buckle up, because this is the story of Marcus Hale, a 18-year-old who walked into court accused of a crime he didn't commit, only to reveal himself as a legal prodigy in disguise. It's a tale packed with heart-pounding conflict, a triumphant resolution that restores your faith in justice, and enough emotional twists to make you cheer, cry, and maybe even question how many times the system gets it wrong. And hey, by the end, you might just pick up a few life lessons on standing up for yourself when the odds are stacked against you, without me spoiling it all right now. Ever wonder what happens when the underdog bites back? Let's dive in. It all started in the bustling streets of Chicago, where the wind whips through the skyscrapers like it's got somewhere urgent to be. Marcus Hale grew up in a cramped apartment on the South Side, the kind of place where the walls are thin enough to hear your neighbor's arguments and the rent is always a month behind. His mom, Elena Hale, was a single parent juggling two jobs, a waitress by day and a night shift cleaner at a law firm downtown. She didn't have much, but what she did have was stories. All the stories she'd tell Marcus as he helped her fold laundry late into the night. Tales of crooked lawyers bending rules, innocent folks getting railroaded by the system, and judges who played favorites like it was a game of cards. "The law's supposed to be blind, mijo," she'd say with a weary smile, "but sometimes it peeks just to make sure it's winning." Marcus soaked it all up like a sponge. While other kids his age were out chasing basketball dreams or scrolling through endless social media feeds, Marcus was buried in borrowed library books on constitutional law, criminal procedure, and landmark Supreme Court cases. By age 12, he could recite Miranda rights backward. By 15, he was debating ethics with his mom's coworkers during her lunch breaks, leaving them scratching their heads at this pint-sized philosopher. But life wasn't all books and big ideas for Marcus. There was the struggle, the real gut-wrenching kind that hits you when you're least prepared. See, Elena got sick when Marcus was 16. Cancer, the aggressive type that doesn't give you much warning. Medical bills piled up faster than snow in a blizzard, and suddenly their already tight world squeezed even tighter. Marcus dropped out of high school to work odd jobs, delivering pizzas, stocking shelves at the corner store, anything to keep the lights on. "We'll get through this," he'd tell his mom, forcing a grin even as worry gnawed at him like a persistent itch. Humor helped. He'd crack jokes about how the hospital food tasted like cardboard flavored with regret, making Elena laugh through the pain. But deep down, it fueled his fire. He started sneaking into the law firm's library after hours, using his mom's keycard, devouring case files and legal journals. If the system's broken, maybe I can learn how to fix it. Little did he know, that knowledge would soon be his lifeline. Fast forward to a rainy Tuesday night in October. Marcus was walking home from his shift, hood up against the drizzle, when chaos erupted. Sirens blared, tires screeched, and before he could process it, a squad car pulled up beside him. "Hands where I can see him," an officer barked, flashlight blinding him. Turns out, a high-end SUV, a sleek 2023 BMW X5, had been stolen from a nearby parking garage just minutes earlier. The thief ditched it a block away after a botched joyride, and Marcus, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Black kid, hoodie, walking alone. Fit the profile, they said. No witnesses, no video, just assumptions. They slapped cuffs on him for grand theft auto and evading police, even though he hadn't run a step. "This is a mistake," Marcus protested calmly as they hauled him in. The cops just chuckled. "Tell it to the judge, kid." Word spread fast in the neighborhood. Elena, still weak from chemo but fierce as ever, scraped together what little savings they had for bail. "My boy's innocent," she told anyone who'd listen, her voice trembling but determined. Friends rallied, sharing GoFundMe links and whispering prayers. But the media, they painted Marcus as another statistic, a troubled teen from the rough part of town. Headlines screamed, "Young suspect nabbed in daring car haste," ignoring the holes in the story.
It stung, you know? That relatable ache when the world judges you before hearing your side. Have you ever felt that? Like no matter how hard you try, one wrong glance labels you guilty? Marcus felt it bone deep, but he didn't break. Instead, he plotted. In his jail cell, scribbling notes on scraps of paper, he dissected the charges. No fingerprints matched his in the car. Wait, scratch that. There was a partial print on the door handle, but it could be anyone's.
The evading charge, based on a shaky eyewitness who saw someone running, but the description was vague at best. And the arresting officer? Let's just say his report had more inconsistencies than a bad alibi. The day of the trial arrived like a thunderclap. The Cook County Courthouse loomed large, its marble halls echoing with the footsteps of lawyers in sharp suits and defendants in rumpled clothes. Marcus stood at the defendant's table, looking every bit the out-of-place teen in a borrowed button-up that hung loose on his frame. His public defender, a harried woman named Sarah Klein with a stack of cases taller than she was, whispered, "Just plead guilty to a lesser charge. You get probation." But Marcus shook his head. "No, ma'am, I've got this." She looked at him like he'd lost his mind, but something in his eyes, that quiet confidence, made her step back. Enter Judge Harlan Voss, a veteran of the bench with a reputation for being tough on young punks. He sauntered in, robe billowing, and banged his gavel with unnecessary force. "All rise," the bailiff intoned, and the room obeyed. Voss scanned the courtroom, his gaze landing on Marcus like a hawk spotting prey. "So, this is the car thief, huh? Looks like he couldn't steal a glance without getting caught." Snickers rippled through the gallery. Spectators, a few reporters, even the prosecutor, a slip guy named Derek Lang with a perpetual smirk. Lang stood, adjusting his tie, ready to lay out his case. "Your Honor, the state will show that Marcus Hale was apprehended near the stolen vehicle after a high-speed pursuit. Eyewitness testimony places him at the scene, and forensic evidence ties him directly to the crime." Voss leaned back, drumming his fingers. "Sounds cut and dry. Let's wrap this up. I've got reservations at Luigi's tonight." More chuckles. Marcus felt the heat rise in his cheeks, but he kept his cool. Ever been mocked when you're already down? It's like salt in a fresh wound, right? But here's where it gets juicy. As Lang droned on about the ironclad evidence, Marcus raised his hand. "Your Honor, if I may?" Voss blinked, amused. "Speak up, son. This isn't school, but I'll indulge you." Marcus cleared his throat. "Actually, sir, I'd like to represent myself." The room froze. Lang burst out laughing. "Kid, you watch too many movies." But Voss, after a beat, nodded. "Your funeral. Proceed." And proceed Marcus did. He started small, poking at the edges like a boxer testing his opponent's guard. "Prosecutor Lang, you mentioned a high-speed pursuit. Can you clarify the route?" Lang puffed up. "From the garage on Wabash to the alley on 35th. Officers chased the vehicle for 3 blocks. Marcus nodded, pulling out a map he'd sketched from memory. "Interesting. But according to the police dash cam timestamps, which I requested via Discovery, the car was abandoned at 9:42 p.m. I was arrested at 9:45 p.m., 2 blocks east. How could I have ditched the car, run west, then doubled back east in 3 minutes without breaking the sound barrier?" A murmur stirred. Lang faltered. "Well, adrenaline makes people fast." Marcus smiled faintly. "Or maybe the real thief got away, and I was just the convenient target?" The judge shifted uncomfortably, but the real fireworks were coming. Marcus turned to the eyewitness report. "Your Honor, the witness described the suspect as tall, wearing a red jacket. I'm 5'7" and was in a black hoodie that night. Care to explain, Mr. Lang?" Lang scrambled through his notes. "Minor details. Eyewitnesses aren't perfect." Marcus leaned in. "But justice should be, shouldn't it? What if this minor detail sends an innocent person away?" Rhetorical question for the win. It hung in the air, making the jury squirm. Light humor slipped in when Marcus added, "I mean, if height doesn't matter, maybe I can apply for the NBA next." A few jurors cracked smiles, breaking the tension just enough to keep them hooked. As the morning wore on, Marcus dismantled the forensics. "The partial print? It's from the exterior handle. I passed that garage every day on my way to work. Could have touched it any time. Where's the interior evidence? No DNA, no fibers, nothing." Lang objected, but Voss overruled, his smirk fading into a frown.
The conflict peaked when Marcus called his first witness, his mom, Elena, via a sworn affidavit. "She can confirm I was home until 9 p.m., then out for a quick errand. Phone records back it up." Lang exploded. "This is hearsay!" But Marcus countered smoothly, citing case law from Gideon versus Wainwright about self-representation rights. The room buzzed. Voss rubbed his chin. "Impressive, kid, but let's see if you can seal the deal."
By lunchtime recess, the tide was turning. Spectators whispered, "Who is this guy?" Elena watched from the back, tears in her eyes, proud but terrified. Marcus had exposed the cracks, lazy police work, biased assumptions, a prosecutor more interested in wins than truth. But the resolution was still hanging by a thread. Would the judge see reason or cling to his prejudices? What if Marcus pushed too far? Hang tight, because the afternoon session would bring the emotional climax that left no dry eyes in the house. This isn't just a story, it's a reminder that genius can hide in the most unexpected places, and sometimes all it takes is one voice to spark change. Ever felt overlooked? Marcus did too, and look what happened next. The lunch recess felt like an eternity, the kind of pause that makes your stomach twist with anticipation. Outside the Cook County Courthouse, Marcus leaned against a concrete pillar, sipping a lukewarm soda his mom had pressed into his hand. Elena stood nearby, her arms crossed, worry etched into the lines of her face. "You're doing good, mijo," she said softly, but her voice trembled. "Just don't push that judge too far. He doesn't like being shown up." Marcus gave her a lopsided grin, the kind that always melted her sternness. "Ma, if I don't push, they'll push me, right into a cell." She swatted his arm, half laughing, half scolding, but her eyes shone with pride. That's the thing about love. It holds you up even when the world's trying to knock you down. Ever had someone believe in you when nobody else did? That's what kept Marcus going as he stepped back into the courtroom, ready to face the lion's den again. The gallery was packed now, word of the morning's drama spreading like wildfire. Reporters scribbled furiously, their pens scratching like tiny claws. The jury sat straighter, their eyes locked on Marcus, no longer seeing just a kid in an oversized shirt, but someone who might just rewrite the script. Judge Harlan Voss banged his gavel, the sound sharp enough to slice through the murmurs. "Let's get this moving," he growled. But there was a new edge to his tone, less mockery, more curiosity. Prosecutor Derek Lang, however, looked like a man who'd just bitten into a lemon. His tie was slightly askew now, his polished confidence fraying at the edges. Marcus caught the shift and filed it away. He'd learned from his mom's stories. When a prosecutor starts sweating, you've already got one foot in the winner's circle. But he wasn't there yet. The afternoon would be a battle, and Marcus was ready to swing. He stood, smoothing his rumpled shirt, and addressed the court. "Your Honor, I'd like to revisit the prosecution's timeline." Lang rolled his eyes, but Marcus pressed on, his voice steady but warm, like he was explaining something to a friend over coffee. "The police report says the BMW was stolen at 9:30 p.m. Officers found it abandoned at 9:42 p.m. I was arrested at 9:45 p.m., 2 blocks away, walking, not running, with a bag of chips from the corner store." He held up a receipt, creased but legible, time-stamped 9:38 p.m. "This proves I was in the store when the car was ditched. Unless I've got a secret teleporter, I couldn't have been the driver." A ripple of laughter ran through the jury, and even Voss's lips twitched. Humor's a great equalizer. It softens the room, makes people listen. Ever notice how a good joke can make even the grumpiest person lean in? Lang jumped up, his voice sharp. "Objection! The receipt doesn't prove innocence. He could have stolen the car, ditched it, then bought chips to create an alibi." Marcus tilted his head, unfazed. "Really, Mr. Lang? So I'm a mastermind who steals a BMW, joyrides for 10 minutes, parks it perfectly, then sprints to buy Doritos from my grand cover-up? That's a lot of effort for a bag of chips." More chuckles from the jury. Lang's face reddened, and Marcus seized the moment. "Your Honor, the prosecution's case hinges on assumptions, not evidence.
They've got no video of me in the car, no DNA, no reliable witnesses. Just a partial print on a door handle that could belong to anyone who walked by that garage. And let's talk about that eyewitness again. He turned to the jury, his eyes scanning each face, pulling them into his story. The witness said the suspect was tall, in a red jacket. I'm 5'7" on a good day, and my hoodie's black. But here's the kicker. The police report mentions a second suspect description, a white male, about 6 feet, seen near the garage earlier that night. Why wasn't that followed up? Why am I standing here instead? The room went quiet, the kind of silence that feels like it's holding its breath. Marcus let it linger, then dropped his bombshell. Your Honor, I'd like to submit a statement from the car's owner, Mr. Kenneth Brody, filed with the police but mysteriously absent from the prosecution's evidence. Voss leaned forward, his bushy eyebrows rising. A statement. This better be good, Mr. Hale. Marcus pulled a folded document from his pocket, his hand steady despite the pulse hammering in his throat. Mr. Brody told officers he left his keys in the car while grabbing coffee across the street. He saw a tall guy in a red jacket lingering nearby, looking suspicious. Not a short black kid in a hoodie. He even told the police, "You've got the wrong person." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. A juror's pen froze mid-scribble. Lang shot up. Your Honor, this is hearsay, unsubstantiated. But Marcus was ready, citing precedent like he'd been born in a law library. Under Crawford v. Washington, a statement against penal interest is admissible if it's corroborated by other evidence. The police report backs this up. It's in the discovery file, page 47. The prosecution just overlooked it. The word overlooked landed like a punch. Lang's jaw clenched so tight you could hear his teeth grind. Voss rubbed his temple, muttering, "Counselor, you'd better have a response." Lang stammered, We stand by the arrest. The defendant was in the vicinity." Marcus shook his head, his voice soft but cutting. "Vicinity isn't evidence, Mr. Lang. It's convenience. I was walking home, minding my business, when officers decided close enough was good enough. That's not justice. That's a shortcut." The jury shifted, some nodding slightly, their faces softening. Ever been judged for just existing in the wrong place? Marcus's words hit that nerve, and the room felt it. The tide had turned, but Marcus wasn't done. He pivoted to the forensics again, hammering the weak spots. "Your Honor, the partial print on the door handle, the forensic report says it's only a 60% match to mine, hardly conclusive. And there's no chain of custody documentation for how that print was processed. No specialist here to testify, no cross-examination allowed. That's a violation of my Sixth Amendment rights." He paused, letting the weight of the Constitution settle over the room. If the prosecution can't prove their evidence is reliable, how can they prove I'm guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? Voss's eyes narrowed, not in anger, more like he was seeing Marcus for the first time. Lang, meanwhile, shuffled papers like a man trying to dig his way out of quicksand.
The courtroom was a pressure cooker now, every eye on Marcus as he delivered his final blow. "Your Honor, this case isn't about a stolen car. It's about a system that saw a black kid from the South Side and assumed the worst. I'm not a thief. I'm a son, a student, someone who's been studying law since I was 12 to protect people like my mom from cases just like this. The real thief got away because the police stopped looking once they saw me. That's not justice. It's laziness." His voice cracked just enough to betray the emotion he'd held back all day. Ilana dabs her eyes in the back row. A juror sniffed, clutching a notepad. Even the bailiff looked away, uncomfortable. Voss cleared his throat, his earlier arrogance gone. "Mr. Hale, you've made your point. Mr. Lang, anything further?" Lang's shoulders slumped. "No, Your Honor." The judge leaned back, studying Marcus for a long moment. Then, with a slow exhale, he spoke. "Case dismissed." The gavel cracked like thunder, and the room erupted, gasps, cheers, a few angry mutters from the back.
Marcus stood still, letting the moment wash over him. Relief flooded his chest, but so did something heavier, the weight of what he'd just done and what it meant. As the courtroom emptied, reporters swarmed the steps outside, shouting questions. "Marcus, did you know you'd win? What's next for you?" He pulled his hoodie up, ignoring them, and found Elena waiting at the bottom of the stairs. She hugged him so tight he could barely breathe. "You did it!" she whispered, her voice thick with tears. "Had to, Ma. You taught me to fight." Across the street, Voss watched from his car, his stern face softened by something like respect. He had underestimated Marcus, just like everyone else. But Marcus wasn't here for applause. This was bigger than one case. Here's the thing. Marcus's story isn't just about a courtroom win. It's about all the people who don't get to fight back, who don't have a legal genius hiding in their back pocket. How many others are sitting in cells because of assumptions, shortcuts, or biases? Marcus knew he'd dodged a bullet, but he also knew he couldn't stop here. As he walked away with Elena, he made a silent vow. This wouldn't be his last courtroom. Next time, he'd be the lawyer, fighting for someone else who'd been written off. And maybe, just maybe, he'd help fix a system that too often blinks at the truth. So what's the takeaway? Believe in yourself, even when the world doesn't. Learn the rules so you can bend them to find justice. And never, ever let someone else's sneer define who you are. Marcus Hale didn't just win a case. He showed us what happens when you fight with heart, brains, and a little bit of stubborn hope. If this moved you, like, subscribe, and share it. The system's made of people, and people can change, but only if we push them. Who's the next Marcus out there waiting for their shot? Maybe it's you.